Mr. Wilson, tell us who our guest is.
We got Mr. Gabe here. Who doesn't know Gabe? I mean, that's it.
That's too
that's
nice.
all it boils down to. So actually, I'm going to say met. The first time I ever was introduced to Gabe was actually last year at a summit that he rolls out. So, and that's what I want to hear more about is about that and what we're kind of looking forward to this year.
Absolutely, man.
So Gabe, obviously now we can give you. You own 33 Realty Company here in Tucson.
Yes.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Rocking the U of A shirt, so we already know that you're a good guy.
Always rapping, man.
That's right. So take us back. Where'd you grow up?
Sure.
Just kind of give us the 30,000 foot view of your life up until today.
Absolutely. So born and raised here in Tucson, humble beginnings. Grew up on the south side of town, went to Pueblo High School, continued education to Pima, actually visited every university. I went to Pima, U of A, ASU, NAU, and kind of wrapped back at currently through ASU doing finishing out the degree that I never got to finish. So from there, I worked at Costco actually for a bunch of years, actually about 13 years, had a bunch of connections, got into real estate in 2012, got my broker's license the third year, actually the minimum year requirement, because I was, that was always the plan. I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a businessman, I've always done some sort of business. I used to do shave ice, snow cones. I had contracts. Yeah, I used to have contracts with the casinos, and it was pretty cool, man. So my love for real estate brought me here. Finally had the guts to do it. It took a lot of guts to get into real estate, and then obviously started the company 2015, and since then we've been rocking and rolling, and we're actually just created another partnership with a good friend and a great business person, Anna Blue.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So tell us about the brokerage now.
Sure.
How many agents are in there? You guys have been going for 5 years officially.
Yeah. So honestly, the brokerage is intended for me to just be on my own, right? I was in a 400 square foot office downtown. It was just supposed to be me. And then my dad, who had 20 years of experience, said, "Hey, do you need help?" And I was like, "Absolutely." I was starting to get overwhelmed, and he renewed his license, got his license again, because he let that lapse. And then through the years, honestly, it's just been growing. I don't recruit, so it's just been growing by friends and
organically.
And now we're 13.
Nice.
Yeah.
And what's nice about that is, and Aaron can attest to this, is it's not, and what you're saying is it's not going, hey, we want to be at 5,000 agents, be the number one in Tucson by the end of 2020. It's fun being in business with people that you enjoy.
Absolutely. And then you're exactly right. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, when I first got in this business, I was like, I'm going to get 1,000 agents. I'm going to be one of these big companies. But in the reality is you got to focus on what you love about the business, what you're good at. And sometimes when you have those type of, it just wasn't my ambition to grow a corporation.
Yeah.
It was my ambition to do what I love and help those that, in my surroundings that I can help. And even people in other companies. I mean, we collaborate a lot, there's enough clients out there for everybody.
Absolutely.
To do well. So,
and there's a big difference between gross and net. You can, it's
100%.
We talk about that on a daily basis. Just because you're bigger does not always mean you're more profitable.
100%. Yeah.
Yep.
I agree.
Yep. Yeah. So tell us about leverage. Aaron and I had the privilege of sitting at a table with a mutual friend of ours, Paul Volpe, last year. Loved it. A lot of great content there. And how did that birth? How did it flesh out over the years? And what are you excited about going forward?
So leverage started 2 years ago. This is going to be our third year. and it happened by mistake. On all complete honesty, it happened by mistake and necessity. I went to a conference, super hyped up as we do. I went to California, found this really awesome guy, Danny Morale, and I think then it was Ed Milet who was speaking, who I wanted to see also. So just came out fired up, and the question I was asking myself leaving was, why am I driving out here? Why do I have to go so far to get information that people want to see? And one, I love my city, as you guys do. I think Tucson is a gem, but I also think that we don't do enough to hold events like this. Like, we need to bring people, like we need to bring them here. Yep. So I was thinking to myself, I was like, how am I going to get hold of this guy who's just hosting like 4,000 people into Tucson? And the funny thing is, like a normal person, I just send them a Facebook message, and people respond. And I think that's the biggest myth I think people don't realize, is that these are normal people that have normal lives that like to answer questions. So I responded to him. I said, hey, love to bring you out. He said, fantastic. Here's my price. If you could do it, I'll come out. I said, great. Came back, talked to another organization that I was a part of. The national level on that organization denied me the money. And I said, I got it sponsored. I got the money for it. You guys don't have to do anything. And they denied it. So I said, forget this. I'm going to do this myself. I went and started an LLC, created a name, called it Leverage. And the first year was so good. It was so great. It turned around even my own personal business. I had a big aha moment in that time. I was working real estate and Costco at the same time, because of fear. And from that moment, I let go of that job, and my business has just skyrocketed. So I wanted everybody to have that moment. I want everybody to find some sort of nugget in there, because we don't need hours of material. We need to hear that one thing that's going to set us apart in our business. Mm-hmm. So that's what Leverage is. And so we brought the second Leverage, and we got even bigger. We got more money. We brought in 4 speakers, 3 from out of state. It grew. We're about 300 people. And this year we're trying to go even bigger, but obviously with how everything's going, everything kind of got canceled out. We might have to push it to early next year, maybe January, February. But yeah, that's it, man. It's just going to continue to grow. And that's through like collaboration. I mean, that's how Aaron and I kind of talked. We invited him to lunch. I talked to Paul Volpe, who we all have mutual friends. And I said, I need to find agents out there who are willing to do good for the entire industry, not just for themselves. I'm not trying to do this for me or my brand. I go, this is for our industry. So he actually threw Aaron's name out, and I was just like, fantastic. So the rest is history. Aaron and I met, and we all have very mutual feelings as far as what we feel about this industry. So it was cool.
Yep. Yeah. Aaron's favorite thing actually to do is to public speak. He is.
I got to say, Aaron.
He stays up at night waiting for the next phone call for him to go speak in public.
That's right up my alley right there, buddy.
Yeah.
I would fall off a stage if I did something of that nature.
Oh, man, don't remind me, man.
Yeah.
So if some of your guys here watching don't know, one of our speakers was speaking and just fell off the stage, man. It was hard. It was hard to see, and he was a trooper.
First of all, you're being way too polite. Aaron and I were sitting in the front row, like the splash section, and he thought there was another foot of the stage there, and he fell down and he landed horizontal to the ground. And the worst part about it was his mic was still on, and you could hear the air rushing out of his lungs through the entire sound system.
Oh, man.
But
you know what, though?
He got back up.
I give that guy props, man. Seriously. I applaud him because he didn't miss a beat. Jumped right up. Whether he had a compound fracture or not, he got back up.
That dude spoke through internal bleeding for the next 20 minutes.
I thought he fell on a trampoline, man. He was just like, boop, came right back up, man.
He was a champ for getting back on the horse, man.
You know what, though? Hey, you talk about different types of marketing, whether it was or not, but bottom line is I remember him.
I'll
Nobody
remember
forgot
until
him.
dad die. Yep.
So lie.
Yep.
So,
So go ahead, Aaron.
right. I was going to ask, so what does it look like? What are you trying to attract this upcoming year, man? Because you did a phenomenal event, seriously.
Yeah, thank you.
So what is it you're trying to attract, and how can we, or how can the public help you?
Absolutely. So obviously through the years, I mean, we want to continue to grow. We want to get bigger and bigger speakers. I mean, I have thoughts here of anything is possible as long as we have the right sponsorships. And just so
Okay.
everybody knows, this is zero profit. This
Yeah.
is every single penny that's ever made goes into charity. And we want to continue to change like that charity every year to just show love to the entire city. So uh, this following year, we're looking for a more of a type celebrity. I reached out to Chip and Joanna Gaines. I reached out to Josh Altman. These are all people that actually responded. So obviously, price tags are some people are really expensive, and that's the truth.
Yeah.
So we want to bring uh, a value. I mean, we love to bring a celebrity, but more importantly, somebody of value, somebody that actually can inspire you. That's not here just to collect a check and show my face. No, no. We want important information. So what I could use from the public and from our agents in the industry is one, to volunteer, participate. Two, sponsor us because we have over 20 vendors on the day of the leverage. You could just make suggestions. I mean, that easy. And to be honest with you, the biggest thing that makes this happen is your attendance. So not just keeping it to yourself, but spreading the word. Help me market, because again, these dollars are all coming out of my pocket, or
Yep.
actually from other people that are doing it for free. So
Yeah.
this is definitely an industry thing, a Tucson thing, and we want it to be here. We want it to continue to happen and get bigger every year for us.
Yeah. One of the things we appreciate is whenever Aaron and I have conferences to go to or whatnot, those days add up throughout the year. Um, it was nice to not be taken out of, to not have to travel someplace to get quality content and then travel back. You lose 2 days there, so on and so forth. So it was a very, very much highest and best use of time.
Awesome, man. I'm glad to hear that, because that makes me feel good, right? It makes the whole event worth it, because man, doing an event is time consuming. It drains you of energy,
Absolutely.
and then you almost get to the point where you're like, why am I doing this? Until the day of the event, where you see people's reactions, or you get that call after, or even just remarks.
Yeah.
Aaron, I remember you actually sent me a text message right after, a messenger. You just said, "Hey man, cool event," or something like that. It was really great. Thank you for doing it. And that right there is what makes you feel good. That's what made me feel good,
Yep.
and that's what it made me proud of you.
Well,
That's
cool.
awesome. Yep. So what makes you tick? If we were to poll your inner circle and ask what makes you tick regardless of the financial impact, why do you do what you do? Uh, what are some of
Sure.
those words?
Man, it's just service, right? Service to people. So previously, in my previous life, when I was going to school, I was going for medical school. Did some really cool things. Got into a Harvard program. I got into did a lot of stuff thinking I was going that avenue, and I just didn't love it. I was doing it because it sounded good. It was a potential to make a lot of money, and I was driven by the wrong forces. Um, but that center of it was exactly what I wanted, was to serve people somehow. My dad was in real estate for 20 years, so that gave me that bug. And honestly, in 2006, I think I went through 2006. I went through a short sale. I bought a house 6 months later. It dipped 100 grand, and I learned a lot. And it was more of like, why didn't I know this? Why didn't I know these opportunities? Why don't other people know about these opportunities? So that really gave me the bug to continue to get into it and get involved. So that's what takes me. That's what makes me happy. That's what wakes me up every day, to serve others,
That's
and
awesome.
it gets me out of bed. And I'm excited. I have not worked, when it comes to real estate. I have not worked Well, I woke up for Costco, but when I quit there, I never woke up and felt like I was going to work. I
Yeah.
love what I do.
When you love what you do, you never have to work a day in your life, man.
100%, man. 100%.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years, man?
Good question. Continuing, obviously, to serve, right? So serving through the brokerage. We serve our agents uh, just like yourselves, where you want to be a leader to them and provide people, bring them to a better place than when they started. That's one. Personally, I like to do more investment, uh, find more rental properties, create more income. Look ahead, because that's essentially that's a retirement plan. That's my retirement plan. And really the biggest nugget here is to do good within the city, so our community. Uh, that's big for me. I want to figure out how to collaborate more with our association, which we're doing with Leverage. Actually, they're part of it as well.
Awesome.
Yeah, that was a big thing, and just finding ways to leave this place better than when you found it. I mean, that's what it comes down to. Like, we're not here to just simply get up, work, and go home. I mean, you got to figure out a way that you can impact others, and we're pretty dang lucky to do what we do, and help people, one, with their biggest investment in their life, but create friendships, and trust. Because when people trust you, then they come to you for other things. You're just a resource. So I
I'm,
want
I'm,
that with
sh-
everybody.
I'm sure that you've noticed this, obviously, with circles, and I'm sure that if we sat down and just started spitting off names, we've got a lot of mutual friends and
Absolutely.
business partners. Tucson, like and I'm sure you've got this when you talk to other people, you have to kind of point out where Tucson is.
Yeah.
We're south of
Tucson.
Phoenix. Yeah,
Tucson.
exactly. The C before the S, or the S for the C. Um, is It's astonishing how many high level thinkers there are in Tucson,
Oh,
how many phenomenal business people, how many
yes.
selfless leaders. Going back to Paul, we've got one of the best lenders in the United States of America down
Yep.
the street.
Amazing.
Um, there is so much opportunity in Tucson that we could become a hub of entrepreneurship in a heartbeat. It just takes stuff like this where, and I think that Tucson is starting to get that within the people, is it's not a competition anymore.
Yeah,
We can all benefit from each other. There's
absolutely.
enough to go around, and it's exciting to see what is happening in Tucson, and what the future looks like.
Oh, I 100% agree with you. I mean, we have so many resources here. I mean,
Yep.
the border is just not too far from here. We have Phoenix to our north. Um, we don't have, unlike other big cities, where you have major corporations and like large money, and taking up investments and opportunity. Tucson really doesn't have so much of that. I mean, there's enough business here for everybody.
Yeah.
And if you're doing it right, there's going to be a ton of business for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
Tucson, people don't understand. We are 4 hours away from doing anything you want to do. You can be 4 hours on the beach in Rocky Point, 4 hours go snowboarding or skiing,
Yep.
couple hours be the
Absolutely.
lake,
Yep.
and still one of the most affordable cities to live in.
Oh, and that's a key point there. I mean, we have great weather almost year round, except for obviously for our heat, but some people love the heat.
Yeah.
And price points, like you said, are incredible, man. You know, I see people moving in from California who are spending 600-700 grand for a little bungalow, and they come to Tucson, they're just blown away the quality of life, and
Yep.
that's what it comes down to.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What impact have you seen, if any, current situation with COVID and everything else in your business, positive or negative?
I think there's a lot of positive, and it's kind of like almost you're almost worried to say it, but because I'm almost lucky to have been in this situation. I understand there's some bad things, but when I'm talking about what's in under my roof, my family, we are closer than we've ever been. We've learned a lot more about each other. I've learned to spend more time with my kids, because we get caught up in work so much, and it actually made you slow down and kind of look around. Also the technology part of this, and like us today talking,
Yeah.
instead of me being at your studio, I'm like saving, an hour trip of round trip where I
Yep.
can have more time where I can spend with my family or on my business. So this has become really, really much easier to deal with. Um, as far as the business side, this is a time where we step up as real estate agents and
Yep.
brokers. Like we are the resource. People are like hungry to hear what's happening or how to deal with an issue because regardless, people need to move. People are in their homes because that's where their family is. That's where they travel from. That's what keeps them safe at night. And they're still going to need to move. So I love that the fact that I can help people more than ever right now. One thing, my buddy Rich Robledo, who was one of our speakers, leverage. I talked to him this morning and I said, "Hey man, how's your market? Because think about Vegas. How many unemployment there with all the hotels." And then and I'm like asking him like, "What's the mindset like for you guys and your agents with dealing with this?" And he said something that struck me really well was he says you bet on yourself once when you got into real estate because you went on an all commission job.
Yep.
Bet on yourself now. Don't forget that. And then that's a truth. And we got to just change that mindset in this moment to just figure out and shift. I see your KW in the background, but I didn't bring my book, but we're going through that shift book right now because although it may not be a 2008, it's just a change. It's just like, this is going to weed out those who do not want to change the times, those who do not want to accept technology. This is really going to weed out a lot of people, and the people that are going to get hurt are the people that are unwilling to move.
Yeah, it's funny is we've got a team in Vegas, and listen to James up in Vegas talk about that too. So much of his business is sphere and referral that his business is it's going on just like normal. And going back to what you're saying about adapting, we do a lot of military relocation, so we've been using Zoom and FaceTime for walkthroughs for 2 or 3 years. It's been an integral part of our business for people that are stationed overseas.
Yeah.
And we sell a ton of houses sight unseen. But it's adapting. It's embracing change. And, you can be a stick in the mud and fight it. But at the end of the day, the industry is not going to look at you and go, "Oh, you don't want to change? Okay, we'll put the brakes on."
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know what? That was one of the things that we discussed as soon as we got onto the lockdown piece as well. That was one of the things that really kind of disrupted a lot of people. It made it real. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
And I think the thing is if you don't change, you may get left behind there.
Yeah.
And it may be just small incremental changes. But here's the thing, though. With that being said, we haven't seen a slowdown. We really have not, and that's the thing that a lot of people are like. Well, wait a minute here. What do you mean? I've been tracking the daily, amount of listings coming on the market here in Tucson, and actually, the good thing we've actually increased. And we had an issue with listings coming on the market. We've had an increase, and we've had actually today we've had even more people that went under contract than we have listings coming on. So transactions are happening. People are moving. Things are there. And it's going to continue to be there. You just got to understand, you got to lift up your head and look at, where you're going instead of staring at the puck right below you.
Yeah.
Below you there.
Yep. Yeah. There's opportunity everywhere.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Oh, cool.
How are your kids doing being locked down?
I don't know if they love it more because they're not going to school per se.
Yep.
Or they hate it because they have to do schoolwork during the day. I think they're doing a great job at home. I think they love it. You know what? Honestly, kudos to my wife, who actually, left teaching so she could stay home with the kids.
Oh my goodness!
And then all of a sudden, she's back teaching again, and it just worked out perfect for us. But it's been good at home. They adapted really well. Our teachers are kicking butt, man.
Yeah.
Enough. Can't say more enough for those teachers. They're doing double duty right now.
Yeah.
It's taking them a lot of work, and kudos to all the parents too.
Yep.
It's just a transition. We're transitioning at work and we're transitioning at home.
When they announced that there was no school and they were canceling for the year,
yeah,
I looked at my wife. I'm like, man, what the heck would we do? Because our kids are all grown now. And we're like, thank goodness. My wife was like, yeah, I think our daughters would have flunked this year. Let's just say that. You know? And then now I'm like, man, I feel for these parents, that now have, and it, and I agree with what you said. There's a silver lining to all of this.
Yeah.
And you know what? When you look back in 3, 4, 5, 10 years, whatever it may be, these are going to be those times that are remembered, in adversity, and that's the thing is there's going to be so many good memories that come out of this, that
I agree.
we had to slow down. We had to, take a look at what matters most, and it was just forced to do so. So I'm with you on that.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is, it was a world thing. Like, it was a global stop for everybody, and the whole world is going through it with it. So, do I think things are going to change out of this in the better? Absolutely.
Yep.
I think people are helping out each other. For our essential employees who are kicking butt out there, and those who are medical and our doctors and nurses. I mean, it's really put perspective for everybody at the same time.
That's it. That's the word, perspective. Yeah. It brings a whole new perspective to things that has always been there. We just didn't pay attention to.
I think it's also a refining process. You realize how much stuff you ordered off Amazon because you could get it in one day, versus now it takes 2 weeks and you're like, I don't need it actually, or eating out as much, or even I would venture even to say relationships. What relationships were edifying and which ones were not. I think that, and conversely, as you're finding those relationships that you go, you know what, that person or that couple or whatnot, those are people that I miss seeing on a regular basis. And then there's other people where it's like, I haven't even talked to them in a month. It obviously wasn't that deep of a relationship, So it's very interesting.
It is.
It's very interesting. So anything that you want to say or get out there, or that we can help you with? You talked a little bit about leverage. That's kind of a little fluid right now as far as date and everything else. Where can they get updates for that?
Absolutely. I mean, the easiest way is I have Leverage Tucson on Instagram. Okay. If you just follow me there, we'll put updates on that. Leverage Tucson on Facebook, or they can actually just be my friend on Facebook.
Aww.
And yeah, exactly. We could be friends, and you can see some more information as it comes out. As I said, right now it could be postponed. It's usually in October, but the way things are, we'll probably postpone it till early next year, which I think would be better because kick off the new year motivated on the right foot. So I think that might be good. And I guess other words of just wisdom during this time for everybody is this is an opportunity to reflect on yourself, reflect on your business, reflect on your relationships. This is a time to grow. Figure out not what's wrong, but what's right and what can be better. So I think that's a phenomenal time for that purpose. And I think it's making everything pause, because a pause is okay. A pause is good. A pause in time is sometimes an opportunity just to make something better. And when you get going, it'll start going fast forward. So, those are my words. And I think that's really important for people to hear right
now. I'll say this. Thank you for doing what you do. You're class act, man. You're changing people, and I appreciate that. I don't even know all the hard work that you put behind this. However, there's a ton of it. I know that, and it's not just you plan it one day and it happens next. It's a yearly thing. So thank you for doing what you're doing, man.
Thank you.
So let's end on this. When this is all over and there's no restrictions, anything, where are you going?
Where am I going?
Or what have you missed?
Where am I dying to go right now?
Yeah, like if it lifted tomorrow and you could go, what have you missed doing, or where are you going? It could be Europe or it could be Miches, like one of the two.
So one thing I got to reflect on was how horrible my eating habits were and how much weight I was gaining. So the old me would have said going to DQ and going to get a Blizzard. But honestly, it's just to go somewhere with nature, man. Again, it made me really, this time's really made me want to connect with everything. So taking the kids out, I know they're ready to get out of the house. So I'm going to say, let's say the beach, because I know my wife's going to kill me if I don't say the beach. The beach.
Nice.
San Diego, perfect weather.
Good call.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it's I'm with you there. Perfect. Well, we appreciate your time. We know you got a lot of stuff going on, and we look forward to Leverage, where that happens at the end of this year, beginning of next.
Awesome.
We appreciate the content and you selflessly giving back to others.
Yep. Whatever you need, man. Reach out.
We're here.
Chase, Aaron, thank you guys. You guys are doing an incredible thing here. I love this. I was watching your podcast. They're incredible, great information. And guys, thank you for what you're doing.
Hey, I'll let you know you're the third person. Chase's mom, my dad, now you. That's it.
Yep. Yes. Yep. I love it.
All right. We'll talk to you soon.
Later,
right,
buddy.
man. See you guys.